At my daughter's birthday party, she announced, "My stepdad bought me an iPhone. My real dad never did anything." I smiled and left. The next morning, her college fund was empty. My ex-wife has been calling nonstop. All right, Reddit. I need to get this off my chest because the last 48 hours have been absolutely insane. I'm still processing everything that happened, but writing it out might help me figure out if I did the right thing or if I'm the biggest asshole on the planet. I'm 38, divorced for about 5 years now from my ex-wife Sarah, 36 female. We have one daughter together, Emma, who just turned 16. The divorce wasn't pretty. Sarah had an affair with her co-worker Brad, 41 male. And when I found out, everything fell apart pretty quickly. Sarah tried to paint me as the bad guy during the proceedings, claiming I was emotionally distant and never prioritized the family. Complete bullshit, but her lawyer was better than mine, and somehow I ended up with every other weekend and Wednesday dinners with Emma. Let me be clear about something from the start. I have always put Emma first. Even when Sarah was screwing around behind my back, even when she took half my savings in the divorce, even when she moved Brad into our old house 6 months after the papers were signed, Emma is my world. And I've spent the last 5 years trying to be the best dad I could be within the ridiculous constraints of a custody agreement that gives me maybe 30% of my daughter's time. Those Wednesday dinners and every other weekend visits became sacred to me. I'd plan activities weeks in advance, take her wherever she wanted to go, listen to her talk about school and friends and whatever teenage drama was happening that week. I helped with homework over FaceTime, never missed a school play or soccer game, and made sure I was available 24/7 if she needed anything. The financial side of things was brutal after the divorce. Sarah got the house, half my retirement savings, and I was paying both alimony and child support. But you know what I did? I got a second job. Started driving for Uber on weekends when Emma wasn't with me, picked up freelance accounting work in the evenings. Not because I had to, I could have covered my basic obligations with my regular job, but because I wanted to make sure Emma never went without anything she needed. More importantly, I started a college fund for her the minute the divorce was finalized. Put $500 into it that first month, even though I was eating ramen and living in a studio apartment that smelled like the previous tenant's cat. Every month after that, I'd add whatever I could. Sometimes it was $300. Sometimes it was $800 if I'd had a good month with the side work. By Emma's 16th birthday last week, that fund had grown to $43,000. Money that came from selling my golf clubs, skipping vacations, driving a 12-year-old Honda Civic, while Sarah and Brad took Emma on trips to Hawaii. Money that came from working 60-hour weeks and living off gas station coffee and vending machine sandwiches. Every single dollar went into that account with one thought: making sure my daughter could go to any college she wanted without drowning in debt. I never told Emma about the fund, not because I was keeping secrets, but because I wanted it to be a surprise when she graduated. I had this whole plan for her 18th birthday. I'd sit her down and show her the account statements, explain how much I'd saved and how proud I was of her. I imagined the look on her face when she realized she could go to her dream school without worrying about money. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to how things changed after Brad entered the picture. At first, Brad seemed like he was trying to be respectful of boundaries. He'd make himself scarce during my pickup times, didn't interfere with my conversations with Emma. I figured maybe this could work. Maybe Emma could have a stable home environment with Sarah and Brad, and I'd continue being her dad during my time with her. That lasted about 6 months. Slowly, I started noticing changes in Emma. She'd mentioned things Brad had said about me, little comments that were clearly designed to undermine my relationship with her. Brad says you should call more often. Brad thinks it's weird that you still live in an apartment. Brad says most divorced dads eventually stop caring about their kids. When I tried talking to Sarah about it, she'd get defensive. Brad's just trying to be a father figure. Emma needs that stability. The implication being that I wasn't providing it, despite the fact that I'd never missed a scheduled visit or phone call. Then came the money stuff. Brad makes good money. He's some kind of sales manager for a medical device company. Makes probably twice what I make. And he wasn't paying child support for another kid or dealing with the financial aftermath of a divorce. So suddenly Emma's life got a lot more expensive. Dad, all my friends have the new iPhone. Mom says you need to contribute more if you want me to have nice things. This when Emma was 14, and I'd just bought her a perfectly good Android phone for her birthday 2 months earlier. Dad, Brad's taking us to Disney World for spring break. Mom says you should pay for half since it's educational. Educational? It's Disney World, not a museum trip. Dad, I need $200 for a dress for the winter formal. Mom says since you only see me twice a week, the least you can do is help pay for my social activities. Every conversation with Sarah became about money. More money for clothes, for activities, for trips, for things that Emma apparently needed, but had never needed before Brad came along. And the worst part was how they presented it. Not as requests, but as obligations. Like I owed Emma these things, and if I didn't provide them, I was failing as a father. I did my best, cut back on my own expenses even more, picked up extra Uber shifts, but there was only so much I could do. When I couldn't afford to match Brad's contributions for some expensive trip or designer item, Emma would get disappointed, and I could see her starting to view me as the cheap dad who never did enough. The breaking point should have been last year when Emma asked me why I couldn't just be successful like Brad. She was 15, sitting in my car after a soccer game, and she said it so casually, like it was just an obvious fact that I was a failure compared to her stepdad. Emma, I said, trying to keep my voice level, success isn't just about money. I work hard, I pay my bills, I take care of you. But Brad bought Mom a new car last month, and he's taking us to Europe this summer. You still drive this old Honda, and you live in that tiny apartment. I wanted to explain everything. Wanted to tell her about the college fund, about how every dollar I didn't spend on myself was going toward her future. Wanted to explain how divorce works, how I was paying for her mother's life as well as trying to build my own. But she was 15 and angry, and I didn't think she'd understand. Sweetheart, there are different ways to show love. Just because I can't afford to buy expensive things doesn't mean I don't care about you just as much as Brad does. She rolled her eyes. Whatever, Dad. That night, I almost called her and told her about the college fund. Almost drove back to Sarah's house and showed Emma the account statements, proved that I was sacrificing just as much as Brad was contributing. But something stopped me. Maybe pride. Maybe the fear that Sarah would find some way to get her hands on the money if she knew about it. So I kept quiet and kept saving. The incidents kept escalating. Emma started comparing me to Brad constantly. Brad says a real man would have a better job by now. Brad thinks you're being selfish by not helping more with my car insurance. Brad says if you really cared about me, you'd find a way to contribute more. I started to realize that Brad wasn't just trying to be a father figure. He was actively working to undermine my relationship with Emma. Every conversation she relayed made it clear that he was positioning himself as the provider, the responsible adult, while painting me as the deadbeat dad who couldn't get his life together. The worst part was that Sarah was letting it happen. When I tried to talk to her about Brad's comments, she'd shrug and say, well, maybe there's some truth to what he's saying. Emma deserves to have nice things, and if you can't afford them, I started documenting everything. Every snide comment Emma relayed, every unreasonable financial request, every time Sarah or Brad tried to make me feel guilty for not being able to match their lifestyle. My lawyer said it might be useful if I ever wanted to revisit the custody arrangement, but honestly, I was terrified of making things worse. What if I lost the little time I had with Emma? What if they convinced a judge that I really was the failure they were making me out to be? So I kept my mouth shut, kept working extra hours, and kept putting money into Emma's college fund. Every deposit felt like a small victory, proof that I was doing something right even if nobody knew about it. 3 months ago, things took a turn for the worse. Emma started canceling our Wednesday dinners. I have too much homework, Dad. My friends are going to the mall. Brad's helping me with my college applications, and we need to work on them tonight. College applications. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, killing myself to save money for her education, while Brad was playing college counselor, probably taking credit for guiding her future. When I did see Emma, she seemed distant, distracted. Our conversations became shorter, more superficial. She'd spend half the time texting, barely looking up from her phone. When I asked about school or her friends, she'd give me one-word answers and then ask if I could take her home early. Dad, no offense, but Brad's just more fun to be around. He actually listens when I talk, and he doesn't make me feel guilty about wanting nice things. That one hit deep. I'd never made her feel guilty about wanting things. I'd made myself broke trying to provide them. But somehow, Brad had convinced her that my financial limitations were a character flaw, a sign that I didn't love her enough. 2 weeks ago, Emma missed our weekend visit entirely. Said she was sick, but Sarah posted pictures on Facebook of the three of them at some fancy restaurant downtown. When I called Emma out on it, she got defensive. I wasn't really sick, but I didn't want to spend the weekend at your boring apartment. Brad's taking us to look at colleges this weekend, and that's more important than watching Netflix with you. College visits. Another thing I should have been part of. Another milestone Brad was stealing from me. I asked Emma which schools they were looking at, tried to show interest, but she just said, you wouldn't understand. These are expensive schools for successful people. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen, at the college fund account showing $43,000. All that money, all those years of sacrifice. And Emma didn't even think I cared about her education. Last week, Sarah called to remind me about Emma's 16th birthday party. It's going to be a big celebration. Brad rented out the community center. We're having it catered. Emma's really excited. What can I bring? I asked. Should I pick up the cake or... Oh, Brad's handling all of that. Just bring yourself and a gift, I guess. Just bring yourself and a gift. Like I was some distant relative, not Emma's father. I spent 3 days trying to figure out what to get Emma for her birthday. The problem wasn't lack of ideas. It was lack of money. Brad had apparently already bought her a car, a used BMW according to Sarah's Facebook, and I knew whatever I got would pale in comparison. I settled on a nice necklace with her birthstone and a gift card to her favorite store. Not extravagant, but thoughtful. The party was last Saturday. I showed up to the community center to find it decorated like something out of a magazine. String lights everywhere, professional flowers, a DJ, the works. There had to be 50 people there. Emma's friends, their parents, Sarah's family, Brad's family. I recognized maybe half a dozen people. Emma looked beautiful. Growing up so fast it made my chest tight. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Probably cost more than I spend on clothes in a year. And she was glowing with happiness. For a moment, I forgot all the drama and just felt proud to be her dad. Dad! She hugged me, and for a second, everything felt normal. I'm so glad you came. I handed her my gift, feeling suddenly self-conscious about the simple box in my hands. Happy birthday, sweetheart. 16 is a big deal. She opened it right there, and her face lit up when she saw the necklace. Dad, it's beautiful. Thank you. She put it on immediately, and I felt a surge of relief. Maybe I'd chosen right after all. The party was actually fun at first. Emma made sure to introduce me to her friends, and I spent some time talking with parents I knew from school events. Sarah was polite but distant, and Brad was Brad. Overly friendly in that fake way that made my skin crawl. Mike, great to see you, buddy. He clapped me on the shoulder like we were old friends. How's the accounting business? Still working those long hours? It's going well, I said, not taking the bait. Emma looks happy. You guys did a great job with the party. Well, you know how it is. Only the best for our girl. Our girl. The casual possessiveness in that phrase made my jaw clench, but I forced a smile. The gift opening happened around 7 p.m. Emma sat at the front of the room while everyone gathered around to watch. The pile of presents was ridiculous. Designer bags, jewelry, electronics, gift cards to expensive stores. Brad had clearly spent a fortune, but so had a lot of other people. Emma opened my gift first, which surprised me. She held up the necklace again and announced to the room, "This is from my dad. Isn't it pretty?" A few people clapped politely, and I felt good about that moment. She was proud of my gift, wearing it for everyone to see. But then came Brad's turn. "This one's from me," he said, handing Emma a small box with a theatrical flourish. "Hope you like it, kiddo." Emma opened it and gasped. Inside was the newest iPhone, the one that had just come out, the expensive model that costs over $1,000. The room erupted in oohs and ahs, and Emma practically threw herself into Brad's arms. "Oh my God, Brad! This is amazing! Thank you so much!" The room was buzzing with excitement. Emma's friends were crowding around to look at the phone, and everyone was talking about how generous Brad was, how lucky Emma was to have someone who cared about her so much. That's when Emma stood up, holding the phone above her head like a trophy, and said the words that changed everything. "My stepdad bought me an iPhone. My real dad never did anything like this for me." The room went dead quiet. 50 people all turned to look at me, some with pity, some with that uncomfortable embarrassment you feel when you witness someone being humiliated. Sarah's face went white. Brad had this tiny smirk that he was trying to hide, but I saw it. Emma realized what she'd said and looked at me with something like panic. "Dad, I didn't mean..." I stood up, walked over to her, and gave her a hug. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said quietly. "I hope you have a wonderful rest of your party." Then I walked out. Didn't make a scene, didn't yell, didn't try to explain myself. Just left. I sat in my Honda in the parking lot for about 10 minutes, shaking with rage and humiliation. 16 years of being Emma's father, reduced to never did anything in front of 50 people. 5 years of sacrifice, of working extra jobs and living like a broke college student, dismissed with a casual comment about a phone. But you know what the worst part was? Emma wasn't wrong. From her perspective, I really hadn't done anything. She saw Brad buying cars and phones and planning European vacations, while I showed up with modest gifts and took her to chain restaurants. She had no idea about the college fund, no idea that I'd been sacrificing for years to give her something Brad couldn't, a debt-free education. That night, I made a decision. If Emma thought I'd never done anything for her, then maybe it was time to stop doing things. Sunday morning, I drove to the bank, withdrew every penny from Emma's college fund, all $43,000 of it. The teller asked if I was sure, and I told her I'd never been more sure of anything in my life. I deposited the money into my own checking account, and then did something I hadn't done in 5 years. I went shopping for myself, bought a new wardrobe, ordered furniture for my apartment, picked out a decent used car to replace the Honda. Hell, I even looked at vacation packages online. When was the last time I'd taken a real vacation? I couldn't remember. Monday morning, my phone started ringing. Sarah calling over and over. I let it go to voicemail. Mike, Emma feels terrible about what she said. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. Please call me back. Mike, this is ridiculous. You're being childish. Emma wants to apologize. Mike, what the hell is wrong with you? Emma's been crying all day. Call us back. Then came the text from Emma. Dad, I'm so sorry about what I said at the party. I didn't mean it. Please talk to me. I feel horrible. Dad, please don't be mad at me. I love you. I turned off my phone and went to work. Concentrated on spreadsheets and tax returns, normal problems with clear solutions. Let them stew for a while. Tuesday evening, Sarah showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't let her in, but curiosity got the better of me. What the hell is wrong with you? She started in before I'd even closed the door. Emma's devastated. She made a mistake, she's 16, and you're punishing her like she committed some unforgivable sin. She's right, though, I said calmly. I never did do anything for her. Not compared to Brad, anyway. So I figured, why start now? Sarah stared at me. What are you talking about? You're her father. Am I? Because the way Emma tells it, Brad's the one who matters. Brad's the one who provides for her. Brad's the one who cares about her future. I'm just the guy who shows up every other weekend with mediocre gifts. That's not true, and you know it. Do I? Because for 5 years, I've been made to feel like a second-class citizen in my own daughter's life. Every conversation is about how I need to contribute more, do more, be more. Well, message received. I'm done trying to compete with Brad's bank account. Sarah's voice got shriller. So you're just going to abandon your daughter because she hurt your feelings? I'm not abandoning anyone. I'll keep my custody schedule. I'll keep paying child support. But I'm done breaking my back trying to prove I care about Emma when she clearly doesn't see the value in it. That's when Sarah played her trump card. What about college? You know we can't afford to send her to a good school on our income alone. I almost laughed. Sounds like a problem for you and Brad to solve. He's so successful, right? So generous? I'm sure he'll figure something out. You're being petty and vindictive. I'm being realistic. Emma made it clear that I don't measure up as a provider. So I'm stepping back and letting the people she actually appreciates handle it. Sarah left after that, but the calls and texts kept coming. Emma, Sarah, even Brad sent me a message about how we needed to talk man to man about what was best for Emma. Here's what's funny. Not one of them asked me what I'd actually sacrificed for Emma over the years. Not one of them wondered if maybe there was more to the story than what they could see on the surface. They just assumed I was being petty, having a tantrum because my feelings got hurt. Wednesday was supposed to be one of my dinner nights with Emma. She called me crying, begging me not to cancel. Dad, please, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean what I said. You do so much for me. Like what? I asked. There was a long pause. You spend time with me, and you help with my homework, and you care about my feelings. But I never bought you anything important, right? Never did anything that really mattered? Dad, that's not what I meant. I was just excited about the phone and I said something stupid. You said something honest, Emma. From your perspective, I really haven't done much. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to pretend to appreciate things you don't value. We had dinner that night, but it was strained. Emma kept apologizing, and I kept reassuring her that she didn't need to. I wasn't mad at her. She was 16, and she'd been manipulated by adults who should have known better. But I was done pretending that my sacrifices meant anything to anyone. Over the next few days, the calls became more desperate. Sarah's friend called to tell me I was ruining Emma's life. Sarah's mother left me a voicemail about how disappointed she was in me. Even my own sister called to say she'd heard about the situation and thought I was overreacting. Emma's just a kid, Mike. Kids say thoughtless things. Don't you remember being 16? I remember being grateful for what my parents did for me, I said, even when I didn't understand all of it. Friday, Sarah showed up at my office. My coworkers were staring as she demanded to speak with me privately. We went to the parking lot, and she was practically vibrating with rage. I know what you're doing, she said. You think you're teaching Emma some kind of lesson, but all you're doing is destroying your relationship with her. She loves you, Mike. Don't throw that away because she made one stupid comment. She loves me? Funny, because for the last 2 years, she's acted like spending time with me is a chore. She cancels our visits, cuts our conversations short, compares me unfavorably to Brad at every opportunity. That doesn't feel like love, Sarah. She's a teenager. That's what teenagers do. Is it? Because she doesn't seem to treat Brad that way. She doesn't complain about spending time with him or make him feel like he's not good enough. Sarah's face crumpled a little. He's around more. He's part of her daily life. By choice. Your choice. You moved him into Emma's life and made him the primary male figure while relegating me to weekend visits and Wednesday dinners. You wanted him to be her father figure, and congratulations. He is. Emma made it clear last Saturday that she sees him as the parent who matters. That's not true. Then why hasn't she asked me about college plans? Why doesn't she talk to me about her future? Why does she go to Brad for advice and support while treating me like an ATM? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "What do you want, Mike? What would make this right?" I thought about it. What did I want? I wanted 5 years back. I wanted the chance to be Emma's primary father figure. I wanted recognition for all the ways I'd sacrificed for her. I wanted her to understand that love isn't measured in dollars spent. But mostly, I wanted to stop feeling like a failure every time I couldn't match Brad's contributions. I want to stop being treated like Emma's backup parent, I said finally. I want to stop being guilted into financial contributions I can't afford. And I want Emma to understand that there are different ways to show love. And just because mine doesn't come with a big price tag doesn't mean it's worth less. And if we can't give you that, I shrugged, then I guess we continue as we have been. I'll see Emma every other weekend, I'll pay my court-ordered support, and I'll stop trying to be something I'm apparently not good enough to be. Last weekend was my regular custody time with Emma. She was subdued, almost scared to say anything that might upset me. We went to dinner at her favorite restaurant. Nothing fancy, just the local pizza place we'd been going to for years. "Dad," she said while we were waiting for our food, "Mom says you're mad at me." "I'm not mad at you, sweetheart. I'm disappointed, but I'm not mad." "Disappointed in me?" "Disappointed in the situation. Disappointed that somehow we got to a place where you feel like I don't do enough for you." Emma started crying. "I don't feel that way. I mean, I did, but I was wrong. Mom told me about the college fund." My blood ran cold. "What about it?" "She said you'd been saving money for college, for my college, and that you emptied the account after my party. So Sarah had figured it out, probably called the bank, or maybe she'd seen the paperwork somewhere over the years. Either way, the secret was out." "That's right," I said. "How much was in it?" "Does it matter?" "Dad, please, how much?" $43,000. Emma's face went white. "You saved $43,000 for me? Over 5 years. Every month, whatever I could spare after paying child support and my bills. But you live in that tiny apartment. And you drive that old car. And you never..." "Never what? Never bought you expensive things?" "You're right. Every dollar I could have spent on myself or on impressing you went into that account instead. I figured a debt-free education would be worth more than a new iPhone." Emma was crying harder now. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted it to be a surprise. And because I was proud of myself for being able to do something big for you, even if it wasn't obvious." "Where's the money now?" I gestured around the restaurant. "Gone. New car, new furniture, new clothes. I figured if you thought I never did anything for you, maybe I should start doing things for myself instead." The rest of the dinner was quiet. Emma barely ate, and she kept staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time. When I dropped her off at Sarah's house, she hugged me longer than she had in years. "I love you, Dad. I'm sorry I was so stupid." "I love you too, Em. And you're not stupid. You just didn't have all the information." This week has been a whirlwind. Sarah's been calling daily, begging me to reconsider. Apparently, Emma's had a complete breakdown, realizing that her path to a good college just evaporated because of a thoughtless comment. Brad's been notably quiet. I guess it's easier to play the generous stepdad when you're not actually responsible for the big expenses. Emma's been different too. She's texting me more, calling just to talk. Yesterday she asked if she could come over to my apartment this weekend, just to spend time together. Not because she needs something, not because it's scheduled, but because she wants to. "Dad," she said during one of our calls, "I know I messed up really bad. Is there any chance you might start saving again? For college? I don't know, Em. That was 5 years of sacrifice. I'm not sure I have another 5 years in me. What if I helped? What if I got a job and contributed too? We'll see, I said. And I meant it. Maybe if things really change, if Emma starts to understand and appreciate what I was trying to do, maybe I'll start putting money away again. But it won't be the same. The surprise is ruined. The gesture is tainted. If I do start saving again, it'll be because Emma is working alongside me, proving that she values the sacrifice. Some people are telling me I was too harsh, that I punished Emma for being a typical teenager. Others are saying I did the right thing, that she needed to learn the lesson. Honestly, I don't know. All I know is that for 5 years, I felt like I was failing as a father, because I couldn't provide the lifestyle Brad could. Now Emma knows what I was actually providing, and maybe that will change how she sees me. Or maybe it won't. Maybe the damage to our relationship is permanent, and maybe I've made things worse instead of better. But I couldn't keep living the lie that my sacrifices didn't matter, that love is only measured in dollars spent on consumer goods. Brad bought Emma a phone. I was buying her a future. She chose to celebrate one and dismiss the other, so I let her have what she chose. The calls from Sarah have shifted from angry to desperate to bargaining. Yesterday, she offered to pay me back for the college fund if I'd reconsider. I told her that wasn't the point. The point was that Emma needed to understand that her words have consequences, and that there are people in her life who have been sacrificing for her in ways she never bothered to notice. I don't know how this story ends. Maybe Emma and I will rebuild our relationship on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. Maybe she'll remember this lesson and become more thoughtful about how she treats the people who love her. Maybe I'll start saving for her college again, and maybe she'll appreciate it this time. Or maybe I'll finish raising my daughter from the sidelines, watching Brad get credit for the fun stuff while I handle the boring responsibility parts. Maybe Emma will go to community college or take on student loans. And maybe she'll spend the rest of her life wishing she could take back one thoughtless comment at a birthday party. Either way, I'm done apologizing for not being wealthy enough to buy my daughter's love. I'm done competing with a man who has more money and fewer responsibilities. I'm done breaking my back to prove I care about my daughter when she's more impressed by expensive gifts than by years of sacrifice. Emma's learning a hard lesson about gratitude and consequences. I'm learning a hard lesson about self-respect and knowing when enough is enough. Maybe we'll both come out of this as better people. Or maybe I just destroyed my relationship with my daughter over a phone and some hurt feelings. Time will tell. Update. It's been 2 weeks since I posted this, and holy shit, the response has been overwhelming. Thank you to everyone who shared their own stories and offered support. It helps to know I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. Here's what's happened since. Emma asked to spend last weekend at my place instead of with Sarah and Brad. We had the most honest conversation we've had in years. She told me that she's been feeling caught between two families, and that Sarah and Brad have been pressuring her to see me as less important. She said Brad has been making comments for years about how real dads provide more, and how I'm just making excuses for being unsuccessful. The kicker? Emma said she always felt like she had to defend my financial limitations to Brad, and over time, she started believing his narrative that I just didn't care enough to do more. She said the iPhone comment was her way of finally agreeing with Brad publicly, of choosing his side in what felt like a constant competition. She's been working at a part-time job for 3 weeks now, and has saved up $247. She brought it to me last weekend and asked if she could make the first deposit into a new college fund. I want us to do this together, Dad. I want to understand what it means to save for something important. I haven't decided yet whether I'm ready to start saving again. The betrayal still stings, and I'm not convinced Emma won't change her mind when the next expensive gift comes along. But seeing her work for that $247, seeing her understand for the first time what it means to sacrifice for a goal, it's a start. Sarah and Brad are apparently having their own problems. Emma told me they've been fighting a lot since my college fund revelation. Apparently, Sarah expected Brad to step up and start saving for Emma's college now that I've stopped. But he's been resistant. She's not really my responsibility, Emma overheard him say. Funny how quickly our girl becomes not really my responsibility when there's actual sacrifice involved instead of just fun purchases. The family dynamics are definitely shifting. Emma's started questioning things she never questioned before, like why Brad gets a say in how much time she spends with me, or why his opinion about my parenting matters more than mine. She's also noticing things like how Brad's generosity tends to come with strings attached, how he brings up expensive purchases he's made for her when he wants her to side with him on something. I don't know where this leads. Emma and I are rebuilding, but it's going to take time. The trust is damaged on both sides. She broke mine with that public dismissal, and I broke hers by pulling away when she needed me to fight for our relationship instead of giving up. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we both needed to lose what we had in order to build something better. Maybe Emma needed to see what it felt like when I stopped trying. And maybe I needed to remember that my worth as a father isn't determined by my bank account. We're taking it slow. I'm still not ready to start the college fund again, but I haven't spent all the money either. Most of it is sitting in my account, earning interest, waiting for me to decide what kind of future I want to build with my daughter. For the first time in 5 years, that future feels like it might be something we create together, instead of something I sacrifice for alone while hoping she notices. That feels like progress.